Hello, friends. Welcome to the Achieve Your Goals podcast. This is your host, Hal Elrod, and I am here today with my mom, none other than Julie Wilson. And obviously, my guest today shaped me more than anyone else. If you followed my journey, you know that my sister died when I was 8 years old in my mother's arms. I was a troubled teen. You may not know that. Then my mother got a phone call that I had a car accident and may or may not be alive when she got to the hospital. Then at 37 years old, I was diagnosed with rare cancer and given a 30% chance of surviving. And she got that phone call as well. And there's a lot more in between. But you've heard my story. You haven't heard hers. And so this is a long time overdue. Mom, I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Thanks for having me, Hal. I'm always happy to talk about you.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I want to talk about you more than me. Yeah.
Okay.
And you don't mind talking about yourself. I mean, if we're honest.
No, it's all right.
Yeah. And by the way, this is this is also a very special moment in the podcast in that I'm not set up in my home office to do home interviews. And this is the first. Thanks for the patience in like getting all of this set up to work. So
I don't mind.
Yeah.
Moms are for.
All right. So I've got a list of things I want to talk to you about because I don't want to forget. I don't want to miss anything. And part of what prompted me for the interview is we were talking yesterday, and what our listeners probably don't know is a year ago, or a little less than a year ago, you fell off of a ladder. The ladder broke and literally it caved in, it broke, and you fell from how far? How tall?
6 feet.
6 feet up, and you landed on your heel. You shattered your heel,
Yes.
liquefied it, I think is what the doctor said.
Yes.
And you broke your wrist. I mean, your hand literally came off, like it broke off it was off to the side, right?
Yes.
And we were talking about that yesterday, and you were saying how every day is the best day ever, and you've never once let this, your injury, which you're still not fully recovered from,
Right.
you've never let that, you never felt like a victim, never felt sorry for yourself. You've still done everything in your power you've been creative to be self-sufficient, although you have a lot of friends
Yeah.
helping you as well. I want to start with, we're going to go into the details of adversities you've been through, but we'll just start with that one. And just what is your view of life and your view of the challenges that we all faced, and you, I think, have faced, especially as a mom, some more difficult than most.
Yeah. Well, I know with the accident, they wanted at first to put me in a home, rest home or whatever. And I just knew I could take care of myself. I mean, I'm in emergency. They're casting me up and I go, I need a chair on wheels. If I have a chair on wheels, I can get around with one leg and one arm. So the whole time I was home, I was by myself pretty much, except for friends coming by, but I lived alone. And I just knew I could do this. I didn't even have a doubt. That was what I found kind of interesting. I, didn't feel sorry for myself. Didn't think it was a horrible thing. I just was going to go home and take care of myself.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
And is that, you've told me before that, like, when I went through the car accident and the 5-minute rule that I learned from my mentor, Jesse, and the can't change it mindset,
Right.
that you've applied that to your circumstances and to this accident in particular?
Well, I love can't change it.
Yeah.
I mean, I use that all the time. Doesn't matter what it is, traffic or, anything I do, any mistakes I make.
Yeah.
I can't change it. So just move on and try not to make it again.
I love it. It's such a simple philosophy, but those 3 words are so liberating.
They're wonderful.
Right? Yeah. Just, oh wait, I can't change it. There's no point in dwelling on it. No point in feeling sorry for myself. No point in being angry. Like, let's gotta move on. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So I want to go back to what has got to be one of the hardest experiences of your life as a mom. And it's when Amory passed away.
Yeah.
Amory, I was 8 years old and she was 18 months, I believe.
16 months.
16 months. Her birthday happens to be tomorrow, which is,
it does.
yeah. The timing is interesting in that regard.
Yes.
So talk about Amory. So she was born with a rare heart defect.
She was born with dwarfism.
Okay.
And one of the side effects of part of dwarfism, her type of dwarfism is an enlarged heart.
And what's dwarfism?
She's a little person.
Mm.
Yeah. She had a very rare type of dwarfism. It was called metatropic dysplasia. So she had a lot of physical disabilities, joints and her back. And so kyphosis, scoliosis. She was probably never going to walk. The interesting thing was she was 24 inches at birth And at full grown, they said she would probably not be over 48 inches tall.
So she would only double her height from birth. Wow.
Yeah. So she would, but 24 inches for a baby's really
long.
big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And weren't you told to have an abortion?
No, no, I wasn't. We didn't know she was going to be born
Oh, okay.
disabled.
Okay.
I had no idea. And I wouldn't have gotten an abortion
Yeah.
anyways. But yeah,
Okay.
her 16 months was absolutely joyful. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what were those 16 months like? How often were you and Dad in the hospital with her?
in the beginning, we took her down to LA to go to UCLA to have her just diagnosed and figure out what is it, what she got. And then after that, not very often, actually, just x-rays. And then we had just taken her to have a special car seat made for her. And we took her to Shriners Hospital, where they did a complete evaluation of everything. And she died just a few days after that. And then we got the results of her tests about 3 days after she had already passed away, where they found the heart defect. We had never knew she had a heart defect until then.
Oh, wow.
She was already gone at that point. Yeah.
So it was a Saturday morning, the morning she passed. Was that right?
I don't remember what day of the week. I just know your dad was at work.
Dad was at work. Haley was at grandma's house.
Yeah.
My sister Haley.
Yeah.
And you were nursing.
Yeah. We were in bed that morning. It was 8 o'clock. Nursing her, singing her a lullaby, just like every other morning. And her heart just stopped.
Yeah. You say that you looked down and her eyes were
Not
just
her eyes.
glossed over. And my memory, and I don't know if it's, I don't know how accurate it is. It was so long ago. It was 37 years ago. But I remember waking up to you wailing, essentially, my baby, oh, my baby. And I remember as I was coming to thinking, oh, Mom's playing with Amory, my baby, my baby. And then I sensed what I can't even describe was going through, the fear, the desperation, then this can't be happening. And so I ran across the hallway and I found you. I think at that point you were performing mouth to mouth.
I brought her to the living room.
In the living room. Performing mouth to mouth resuscitation. And then you told me, if I remember correctly, you said run to Grant to the neighbor's house. And we lived in the mountains, so we lived on an acre. So it wasn't like, a subdivision where you're right next door.
Right.
So I'm running across the yard, across pine needles to Grant's house. And Grant was how old at the time?
75, 80.
75, 80 years old, and he was on oxygen. Is that why you wanted me to get him?
That is, yes.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of. But we called 911 too in there.
I called 911, right? You told me, you relayed what to say. I remember it was in between breaths that you were performing CPR.
Yeah.
And you're trying to tell me what to say and answering where we live, all the questions. And then I remember going to Grant's and saying, Grant, hurry, we need bring your oxygen. And poor Grant's 80 years old trying to wheel this oxygen across pine needles and rocks and sticks. And then when we put it on Amory's face, it was too big.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Right. Yeah.
But the ambulance was there really fast.
Okay.
I think like 6 minutes. It was very fast.
Okay. And then how did we call? Because I know I went to Janine Zeitler's house, my friend Ben's mother.
Yes.
Our family friend. And what made you decide to send me? Was Dad home at that point? What?
No, he met me at the hospital.
Okay. And then did I call Janine or did you? I'm sorry. I'm personally, I'm trying to recall.
Well, I think after the ambulance got there,
we called Janine.
Then
and she came and picked me up.
Right.
And then you went to the hospital. Now, was Amory, did you know she was gone at that point, or were you hoping that they
were
save her?
Still trying to save her.
Got it. Okay.
They were trying everything. Yeah, they worked on her for a long time.
And I remember I was playing at Ben's house, and I just assumed, oh, Amory's going to be fine. Ambulance is there. That's what they do. They save people. Like, I wasn't worried at all. And then I got a call from Dad, and that's probably the first time I heard him cry, I think. And he just said, Amory's in heaven. And I remember I don't know if you know this or not. This is a defining moment, I think, in in how I process grief. So I walked out in the living room after Dad told me that.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what I was thinking. I just know what I said, which is I went out into the living room where Andy and Ben, his little brother, they're playing, and Janine. And I said, hey, everybody, guess where Amory is, in this really upbeat voice.
Yeah.
And I remember Janine, I can picture her furrowing her brow.
Yeah.
I think she knew. And I said, she's in heaven. Isn't that great? Heaven's supposed to be the best place, right? Isn't it the best place ever? And I think as an 8-year-old kid, and I've done this in therapy, like I've talked through this and tried to psychoanalyze or whatever,
Yeah.
that I think I went, I don't I don't know what's happening, and I don't know the emotions. I've never felt this. I don't know how to process this. I don't understand this. And then I immediately was like, oh wait, if you just find the positive in it, it feels better.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you were so young.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you were so young. And I know you wanted to pray. You said, Mommy, should I pray? And I said, yeah.
While we were waiting for the ambulance, right?
The ambulance. And you just were on your little knees.
Mm. So when Amory passed away, how did you find the strength to keep going? What followed that?
It was hard at first, very, very hard. And then I have to say, I talked to the priest, Father Tunisy at church. And he said, are you angry and you're hurting? And he says, just talk to God. He said, and yell at him. If you're mad, yell at him. Tell him off. So I went to church. The church was empty by myself. And I just let God have it. And, and then I got this feeling of just peace, just absolute peace.
Wow.
And I drove home from church and I was okay. And I knew I was okay and I was going to be okay. And then, of course, changed the direction of my focus on life after that.
Yeah. How so?
Well, grief was I had to learn how to grieve and get through the grief process. And I realized in our little community, there was no place to go for grief work. And so I started my own grief group, a compassionate friends group. And I was amazed to find out how many people in our little town had lost children that I didn't even know about.
And Compassionate Friends is a national or international organization that for parents who've lost young children? Or just all ages?
All ages. Yeah. Yeah. So, and that was, so I did that. And then, of course, your dad and I started doing Kids Day to raise money for Valley Children's. And, it did change our lives, definitely.
Yeah. And Kids Day, or Valley Children's, was a hospital where Amory was, she had a lot of care?
Yeah. She had gone there before for some care. Yeah.
And yeah, I remember every year we would sell Kids Day papers. That was a big annual tradition for our family.
Raised a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, Compassionate Friends, how long after Amory passed away did you start the chapter in Oakhurst?
Probably started it within a year and ran it for about 10 years.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So you're, yeah. And I tell that story a lot when somebody asked me in an interview once, where did you get this mindset of helping people from your accident? And I just went, wait a minute, it was my mom and dad, learning how they took their tragedy and you turned your pain into purpose, right?
Yeah.
For helping. How does that help you? How did that help you? Like, what was the meaning? What did it mean to you? How did it help you to lead a group of people who you were helping them get through what you were still going through? I mean, after only a year.
I think because when I went to Compassionate Friends, in Fresno, originally when I first started, I got a lot out of it, and it helped me understand grief a little bit better. And it helped me. And reading a lot of books. I read a lot of books on grief.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was so helpful. And so when I started my group, I had a lot of books to add, and I started a library for anybody else that wanted to read all the books that I'd read. So, yeah.
How did that change you as a mom after that? Meaning, so Amory passed away, your youngest.
Yeah.
And then you've got me at 8 years old, Haley around 6 or 7, a year and a half younger than me.
Yeah.
Were you more grateful? Were you more protective? Like, what was it like to be a mom after you lost a child?
I think I was always protective. I don't know if I could have gotten any more protective than I'd been already, but just grateful for you two. And you were, of course, a huge catalyst in knowing I had to keep going. I had to raise you two because you were just as important as Amory was. All three of you were the same.
Yeah.
And so I had to just do what I had to do for you guys. And you were, of course, a big part of keeping me going. And I had to wake up every day, get you breakfast and, get you off to school and all that. And we just added the extra Kids Day stuff and, the Compassionate Friends. I added things, but I still did everything else the same. Yeah.
fast forward a little bit. The What was it like going, or what was going through your head, I guess, during my teenage years? When I was getting detention, getting in trouble, getting suspended from school, stealing the car, getting brought home by the police on New Year's Eve. Yeah, what was it like being
Let me start up first. You were the best baby ever.
okay? All right,
Okay.
all right. What's right there?
9 pounds, 7 ounces, and slept through the night at 2 weeks old, napped 4 or 5 hours a day. You were so good. Potty trained at 18 months. So good. And then your little sister was born, Haley was born, and then that all went out the window and the terrible twos started, and it lasted till you were 18.
Yeah.
But you were a little bit, you were like me. I was hyperactive, but I was probably ADHD. You were probably the same. We never diagnosed anything, but I was hyperactive like you were too. I just didn't get in trouble as much as you did, but you never did anything bad.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, never mean spirited.
no, never
I was just
spirited.
I was just a class clown, basically.
Class clown, hyperactive, but so smart. I mean, you tested 99% on the state tests. You were chosen for the school spelling bee. You were so smart. You used to amaze me, and you used to amaze your teachers too, because you were so smart. You could be fooling around on one side of but you could quote everything the lecture that was given to you by the teacher, because they would question you.
Yeah.
Okay, Hal, wait, what did I just say? Well, you said blah, 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 blah. And the teachers were amazed. How did he
How's he
cheer me?
screwing off?
Or he was doing, pulling the girl's ponytail or whatever. Yeah. So you were never a bad kid. At least in other things I knew.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I definitely gave you guys gave you some great hairs, I'm sure.
A few.
Yeah, I do remember being brought home. I was probably 17 by the police on New Year's Eve. I had gotten intoxicated
Cousin.
with my cousin, and we got brought home. It was like 11:30, midnight to, I don't know, late, around midnight-ish. And I remember the police officer walked us to the back door, and you answered the door, and you just were not happy. And he said, ma'am, I can leave. You can take him, or I can take him to juvenile hall. And you said, take him to juvenile hall. And dad and dad in the background, the softie, no, my sister will kill me if you take your son for 4th of July to juvenile hall.
Yeah.
Well, what is your thought on like tough love kind of parenting?
Tough love.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the next morning, you two boys had hangovers. I had a pot in the pan and with a spoon, and I'm banging them in your ear, and you're both just moaning. And I said, "Get up. You're going to remember this hangover. You're not sleeping through this hangover. You're going to get up, and you got chores and whatever. And I made you get up, and you two were miserable.
Yeah.
But you never got brought home drunk again.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. What, where was I going to go with that? During high school, what were your thoughts on my future? Were you like, this, he's in trouble? Because I think I set a detention for like the most hours, or a record for the most hours of detention at high school. So I was always getting in trouble. And again, never mean-spirited. I wasn't getting in fights. I was just talking a lot, essentially.
Yeah.
But so what were your thoughts on, like, were you worried at all, like, what Hal's going to amount to in the future?
Well, the one you were getting Saturday school.
Yeah.
Which meant
was detention.
I had to get up on Saturdays to take you. So I talked to the vice principal, because you would come home and go, yeah, we had pizza. And I'm like, I'm up at, dawn to get you to school on a Saturday. So I talked to the vice principal, and I said, look, I want him to clean the bathrooms while he's here.
Nice.
So that Saturday, you came home mad. You can't believe what they made me do, Mom. They made me clean the bathrooms. And I said, and if you get Saturday school again, you'll be cleaning out the septic tank with a toothbrush. So it's not going to get better for you.
Yeah.
But then when you started doing your DJing and your radio show, and you were so dynamic and so confident and so hardworking, you worked hard in the store.
Yeah.
You and Haley both hardworking kids. You had great work ethic.
Yeah.
So I mean, I saw that, and I I knew you were going to go. You were going to do good.
That's a good point, right? So I was 11 years old when you bought the grocery store. For those that don't know, the Oakhurst Market,
Yeah.
Which Dad worked at, was a manager at, and his dream was always to be a business owner.
Yes.
And so he made it happen, and that was built in 1945,
Yes.
right? And we bought it in 1991. So it was 46 years old.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know as well, we lived in the grocery store, which was so cool.
Yeah.
You know, right? The house was behind, and in the built. You literally walked. I always tell people, like, if you're checking people out in the check stand and you take 6 steps, it's the front door to our living room and our kitchen, right?
Yeah.
And it was so cool because we wanted cereal or milk, we would just come out in our pajamas, grab food, go back. We'd roller skate and turn into a roller skating rink at night when it was closed. Like, it was a blast. But yeah, so then I got hired. Really, I think at 11, and I think it was right away I started working at the store.
Oh, really? Yeah, you and Haley both.
Yeah.
Immediately. You guys were checking, stocking, bringing in grocery loads.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And then at 15, Jake Williams, we were still in touch with, my best friend back then. We got to DJ a school dance because his brother got sick, his older brother, and couldn't do it. And then that's when my DJ career kind of took off. And then Larry Gamble, the owner of the radio station, heard I was a DJ, called, invited me to. Yeah, and I remember I was using you guys had a computer and a printer, and I mean that was like a computer, like no color graphics, I think. And I remember I made flyers and put them all over town. DJ, and I got a pager. Yeah, anyway, it's all coming back to me as I'm talking right now.
Yeah, and you had those huge speakers, and for the DJ business, and we used to have to haul them and take him. Yeah.
That was a blast. Yeah, that makes sense that you would go, okay, he's got a chance of.
Yeah, you were doing great.
Being entrepreneurial at a young age.
But it challenged your energy. You were just energetic, and you're so smart. Your brain was just going.
Yeah, I get it from you.
Yeah.
Both of those. Yeah, talkativeness, energy. So fast forward to when I was 19. So first of all, I go off to college, right, at 18 to live with my friend. His parents say, no, Hal can't live here. So I'm sleeping in my car. You remember that? Like, what was that
you
time?
Didn't tell us you were sleeping
I didn't.
in your car
Okay.
until later.
Okay.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So I'm living in my car. And after my first year of college, I get hired at Cutco. So that's what I'm really curious. Like, because I know you told me later, you didn't tell me at the time, you were very supportive. I think you were a little like warning, hesitant, or just kind of, Hal, are you sure? And is this, what is this? But it's a commission only job, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm selling kitchen knives, which I've never sold anything in people's homes.
Right.
And so, yeah, what were your thoughts when I came home and said, hey, I got hired, I'm going to sell Cutco?
I never heard of it before, for one thing.
Yeah.
And then I was skeptical. But when you wanted to get that radio show at that big station in Visalia.
Yeah. Which was right before Cutco. I got the job, and like a week or two later, I got hired at Cutco. Yeah.
And I told you, I said, well, Hal, honey, you're only 18. You haven't gone to broadcasting school. They're not going to hire you. They may not hire you, honey. And you went, Mom, if I can just get in the door, they're going to hire me. You were on the radio that night at midnight. And your dad and I drove all the way down to Core School to listen to you because we couldn't get
a no curse. How funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wild. Yeah. That was my dream. I was like, okay, I'm a radio DJ now officially.
Yeah.
And then my buddy talks me into Teddy Watson. Remember Teddy?
Yeah.
Talks me into going and interviewing at Cutco, which he had worked for a year or so. And I get the job. And so then I'm doing both. I'm DJing midnight to 6 a.m. And then I'm driving at 6 a.m. to Fresno, an hour and a half, to go through training from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., then drive back to Visalia, DJ midnight to 6, and then go back to training. It was crazy. And I ended up falling asleep at the wheel my second weekend. And then I was like, I got to pick one. And Cutco was it. Well, so what I remember is you and Dad telling me later, though, that you, maybe it was Dad, I don't know, but that you guys didn't like the idea of me doing Cutco, that, which I would imagine for any parent, like,
I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest thing. And I thought, sales is so hard. Even though, I know you did the online phone sales for a while for that
telemarketer or whatever.
Yeah. And
for vacation rental.
Yeah, you were funny. They loved you. You were really funny when you did it. I think we talked a little bit about what I remember is stories using accents. If you were calling somebody with a certain last name, you would try to sound like
them.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm selling Cutco, and then I remember you guys turned support. I mean, when I broke in my first 10 days was, I broke the fast start record. So it's like, I remember you guys telling me that you went from being skeptical and unsure and kind of worried for me to like, oh, wow, he's committed, he's dedicated. So, was there a shift and you were like, hey, let's like go. I remember you guys got really behind it and supportive and we're doing it because you're the one that referred. Yeah. You referred all my initial customers came from you.
Right. Everybody bought it.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
All of our friends. Yeah.
So a year and a half into my Cutco career, I get hit head on by the drunk driver driving home from a Cutco speech. And I'm found dead at the scene, heart stopped for 6 minutes. My best friend at the time, Jeremy Caton, found me. He was, a minute behind me on the freeway and he found me. I was in a coma. So he thought I was dead. My eye was crushed, 11 broken bones. I'm bleeding down my face. I mean, he's described, I get into tears when I hear him describe what it was like to find me like that. What was it like for you to get the phone call from Jeremy?
Well, the weird thing was your dad and I weren't supposed to be home that night. We were supposed to be staying in a hotel for this event that we had never not gone to. Your dad had been man of the year before, so he was going to pass the torch to the new man of the year. I was on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. And just earlier that day, we both went, I don't want to go. We just didn't want to go. And we've always gone. And so this is before cell phones. And had we gone that night, nobody would have been able to find us.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And, when we got there, you were alive when we got to the hospital, but maybe if we wouldn't have gotten there and talked to you like we did and hugged you and kissed you and everything, it could have made the world a difference.
What was the drive like? Because it was roughly 2 hours from Oakhurst to Modesto.
Yeah.
So when Jeremy called, what did he say? He told me that I remember he said he called you and I think Dad answered and Jeremy.
I answered.
You answered?
We were asleep.
Initially, Jeremy said he hung up the first time. He couldn't get the words out of his mouth to tell you. I can imagine breaking that news to a parent, right?
Yeah.
So then when you do answer the phone, he calls back. I think you answer the phone. What did he say? What did you say?
He just said, Hal's been in an accident. It's bad. And at that point, I just handed the phone to your dad. I couldn't listen to anymore. It's like, I think I just started getting dressed. I think he said, that he's in Modesto, and I just gave the phone to your dad, and I just started getting dressed.
Yeah,
we're going.
Yeah,
and then I think your dad called his brother Michael and Wendy, and they came with us. And your dad drove
100 and something miles an hour.
Oh, really fast.
Yeah,
really fast. And, and Haley came too.
Okay,
that's right. Yeah,
was she at home with you at the time?
She was still living at home.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you get there, I'm in a coma.
Yes. In fact, we got there, they said, the Elrod family, and they took us to a small room with Kleenex, and the counselor or chaplain or something came in the room and gave us, the news. He's not going to make it tonight.
Oh, really?
We're going to let you go in and kiss him goodbye and everything. And you were they had cleaned all the glass. You had glass all over you and pieces of metal, all kinds of stuff. You were just in pieces, and you didn't. They had cut your shirt off and stuff, so it was just your bare chest. And I just went in there and kissed you, and told you you better not die tonight because I'm your mother, and I'm the boss, and you better you're living. That's it. Period.
Yeah,
you're not going to die.
I can't even imagine seeing me just because I was so broken up. Bloody and broken.
Yeah.
And then y'all slept at the hospital that night?
We never left forever.
So for seven weeks that I was in the hospital, y'all never left
home.
Somebody was always with me. I remember that.
Yep.
And then so you're praying. I'm in a coma. And I was in a coma for 6 days. During that time, you're just hopeful.
In your in your room, talking to you, and all your friends were very supportive, coming by, supporting your dad and I and Haley, and it was a lot of support. And then that 6th day, Brian Bedell, as I remember, said to you that he was going home and that he was going to take care of your girlfriend while you're here, if you know what I mean. and you gave him the bird.
From my coma,
From your coma.
I flipped him off.
Yeah. And we went, oh my gosh, the doctor said you were brain dead.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, they said you were brain
Because of the brain damage.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They said you were going to be brain dead and never walk, never talk, nothing, And then, so Brian, and then I saw that bird and I thought, oh my gosh, he's in there. And then we asked you questions and we said like, how, yes, one finger, no, 2 fingers. And we asked you all kinds of, honey, are you in pain? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Just kept trying to think of questions and you answered them.
I mean, that's so picture perfect. That the way I come out of the coma as I flip off my high school friend Brian Bedell for telling me he's going to take care of my girlfriend.
Well, and another funny thing was the whole time you were in your coma, we tried to make light of it when you were in your coma. We tried to be lighthearted and talk lighthearted and joke, not serious.
No fear or anything. Yeah.
And the nurses and the doctors, he'll probably, never talk or anything. And I said, well, if he does start talking, the first thing he's going to do is sell you Cutco. He's going to try to sell you Cutco. And they're laughing at me. Oh, no, he's not.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, yes, he is. Swear to heaven, hell, after you woke up out of your coma, Mom, did you ask him if they had Cutco? I mean, I knew it.
So my whole world was Cutco at that time. It was, a year and a half into my Cutco career.
That gave you a lot of purpose, though, to get better.
Yeah. Well, what it helped me do is I feel like I was pretty, other than the DJing, which was kind of cool. I just felt like I was very mediocre my whole life in terms of like, I compared to other kids, I didn't get great grades. I wasn't an athlete. I wasn't popular. The DJing was very cool, but I always felt like I'm just like most of us. I'm nobody special.
Yeah.
And then Cutco was like, oh wow, when we make a decision to do whatever it takes to achieve a goal, like we can do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. You were funny in the hospital and we made light of it. And I think that helped you heal too. Never not being serious. Just
light, loving, fun, happy.
Yeah.
So over the years, obviously I've gone through a lot, with the car accident and then the, financial crash in 2008. I don't know how much how open was I with you guys about that? I don't remember.
Pretty open. I mean, we knew about the house and losing the house and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Miracle Morning, starts, well, it was slow. I self-published it. No one knew who I was, but I just kept sharing it and starts, taking off and I'm getting invited places. And, I'm just curious, is there any aspect of the Miracle Morning? Like, was there a moment where you're like, you can remember, Hal's going to Brazil or Paris or I'm just wondering if there was something that for you as a mom where you're like, whoa, because I know now you tell me people talk to you about it all the time and you always meet people. So I'm just wondering like if there was a moment where something clicked and you're like, wow, this Miracle Morning thing is.
I think with the Miracle Morning, well, even with your first book,
Taking Life Head On. Yeah.
I mean, that was great that you could do that too. That was amazing that you wrote that book and then Miracle Morning. But I think I was just always just proud. I was just, whatever you did. And I promoted it. And, anything I could think of for you to do to, sign books at the local library, the local bookstore in Oakhurst, whatever it took. I thought I just wanted to promote you and sell you to everybody.
Yeah. I appreciate you're always my biggest promoter, Mom. All right. One more question about something that I went through that, again, I'm just really wanting your perspective of what it was like. And then I want to transition to really talk about you in terms of some of your values and your mindset and perspectives and all the things. But cancer, right? So at 20 was my car accident. You went through all of that. And then at 37, when life's great, I'm married, I've got 2 kids, I moved from California to Texas. Miracle Morning's taken off, everything's going really well. We have a great relationship. That's one thing that's been cool is you and I and me and Dad, like I've had a great relationship with you guys through all of it, right? There's literally, I can't remember a moment where I've ever not felt great about you as a mom and which is cool. Sadly, not everyone is that fortunate, but I'm very blessed in that way. So you're with Ursula, my wife, you're with Ursula in Colorado with the kids.
Right.
I was having trouble breathing. And so I stayed back but I didn't want to keep the kids and you and Ursula away from grandma. Was so excited to see them.
Yeah.
And then y'all were at the zoo when I called Ursula when I got diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
Tell me about that phone call. When did she tell you? How did it happen?
It's devastating. Yeah. And then we need to get her home.
Mm.
Yeah. Get her back, you and her and the kids back to you. And, I was just at the point where praying,
Mm.
you know.
Was there a little bit of like, again, God, are you?
That was it. I said, Lord, you know what? You took my daughter and I still loved you. You almost took my son and I still loved you, but not, and I know you don't give us more than we can handle, but you're really pushing it.
Yeah.
Because I can talk to God like that. Because Father Tunisi gave me permission.
That's how I talk to God.
I can talk also like, hey, buddy, you know what? You're really pushing me on this one, But and I think we still even got through that with some laughter and some, trying to be positive, and even though it was hard.
Yeah.
But I know you're such a positive person, but I know you had your downtime too.
Yeah.
And like in your movie and stuff. But again, we just stuck by you. Your dad was always there. I got there when I could, when I wasn't working. Haley Kate was there. Yeah, we just weren't going to leave you. You were never left alone.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Same thing with your car accident. You were never left alone.
Yeah.
And then when you had your cancer, you were never left alone. There's no way.
And was there a mindset around that? Just my house shouldn't be alone, or we don't want to be without him, or what was the?
Well, because the nurses don't come and check on you like they're supposed to. I didn't want you to ever have to suffer or anything, And then we were cooking for you.
Yeah.
In the bathroom and stuff.
Yeah, making smoothies in the hospital, right. Organic smoothies. Yeah.
At the skillet. Yeah.
So through everything, Amory, my car accident, the cancer, still have brain damage. You've remained strong, optimistic. What do you credit that resilience to?
I think it's just how I've lived my life. I don't know.
Was there anybody that you were modeling, or anyone in your life that was that way?
My dad, I guess.
Yeah.
To a point. Yeah. Because he had cancer 3 times.
Yeah.
Or he finally died. Suffered a lot. A lot. Yeah. And always cheerful. Never complained. Even at the end when he was so sick. He never complained.
Yeah.
Because he died right after you were born. Your name, you're named after your grandpa.
Yeah. Hubert Al Wilson, and he went by the initial H.
Hobart Al Wilson. Yeah.
Did he not like Hobart, which is why he went by
like Hobart, so he went by Al.
H.A.L. Wilson. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He got to hold you after you were born. He was even at the hospital when you were born, even though the doctor said he should be dead. There's only thing keeping him alive is seeing you born.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
We didn't know if you were going to be a boy or a girl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but.
All right. Now let's talk about you. I want to shift gears. You as a woman, not just as a mom.
Yeah.
So start with most recent tragedy, which you already mentioned. Last year, you fall off the ladder. You broke your heel. And I mean, your whole side of your foot, right? I mean, it's
disintegrated.
Disintegrated your heel. And then when you fell off, you said your wrist broke off of your
hand broke
broke off the wrist.
Yeah.
Ugh. Gruesome. Let's start with, you didn't call me and tell me because it was around my birthday and you didn't want to upset me on my birthday. You called me 4 or 5 days after it happened.
Because you were on a trip with Ursula or something. Yeah. I mean, you couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But
I wanted to know. I remember I was in my closet when you called. I go, Mom, you should have told me when it happened. I want to know. I'm here for you.
Gosh, I didn't tell anybody else, Grandma or anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Till over a month.
So most people would have been discouraged. Right? I mean, your hand breaks off your wrists, very severe. Your foot breaks. So you're laying there on the ground. By the way, let's actually start in the moment. You're laying on the ground. How did you get to the hospital?
Luckily I'd been taking pictures. I was power washing. I was proud of how
Oh, yeah, we should talk about what you were doing, by the way. Why are you power washing your own house? How old are you, Mom?
That was 66.
66. Power washing your house on a 6-foot ladder.
Ladder. Yeah. Yeah. And I'd been taking pictures. So luckily my phone was
right there. Okay.
Mhm. So when I fell, my phone was already close by. And I just called a friend. I didn't even think about 911. I don't know. I just called my friend Greg and I said, "Hey, Greg, get over here. I'm feral and I need to go to the hospital." And then I drug myself with one arm and one leg to the front door. But the funny thing was I thought to grab my purse. I thought they're going to want ID or something.
Yeah.
So I stop. I'm dragging myself to the front door, get to the front door, open the front door. By the time Greg gets there, I'm sitting there. Then I realize, am I going to stand up? I got one leg and my foot's disintegrated. My hand's gone. So I was able to get myself up. And then I hopped down 6 stairs to his car.
One hand and one leg. Jeez.
I know. And then I got to the hospital. When they saw me, they went, "Trauma."
Yeah. So first, what was the psychology? What was it like seeing your hand off of your wrist?
First thing I thought when I saw it, I went, "Ooh, that's bad."
Jeez.
So I didn't
You're in shock, I imagine, right? You're just in shock.
freak out.
And was there pain or was the adrenaline? No pain. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Pain came later when you
I never really had pain.
never had major. That's wild.
No, didn't have pain.
And so you continued to have karaoke parties at your house.
Yeah.
You continued to do everything humanly possible, but most importantly, your mindset was this is my reality. I'm going to make the best of it. Talk about that a little more. Like what, most people, again, I think most people would have been completely discouraged having had that happen.
Yeah.
Also maybe pessimistic being, 66 years old, your body's not going to heal potentially the way it used to. And you still can't make a fist with that hand. I mean, you're
No.
not completely healed.
No.
You're doing physical therapy, you're doing everything you can, but yeah, what kept you going during recovery?
Laughter. I laughed. My doctor was just shocked just when he first saw me, the surgeon, because I'd have 2 major surgeries to fix. And I'm made out of metal like you. And I just laughter. And he just couldn't believe that I could be laughing and joking. And,
Yeah.
he goes, "You have the two worst breaks there are for both
Wow.
foot and hand."
Yeah.
To it. Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah. No, I get that from you then because everything's funny to me. There's nothing that's off limits of finding the funny in it, right?
Yeah. And then when I got my casts on, I made them match my toenail polish and my fingernail polish so they'd make it whatever color I had. And I thought it was kind of funny. And
Yeah.
I got around the house so well. And I could open a bottle of wine 3 days after I fell with one hand. That was my big claim to fame. Because I said, I know I'm going to live. I can live because I can open a bottle of wine.
As long as I can open a bottle of wine,
I'm good.
I'll figure it out. So you've had a lot of setbacks in your life, and we didn't even talk about childhood. I mean, we left out 95% of the challenges you've been through, just some of the big ones, especially the ones since it's for Mother's Day. We're going to release this episode. I thought,
okay,
what's it like being a mom, losing a child, having a child almost die twice, all of those things. You've always bounced back. I'm curious around happiness specifically. What is happiness? Again, 66 years old. You're now retired. What does happiness look like for you? What does it mean to you at this stage in life?
I just love every day.
Yeah.
Every day. You can remember when you were kids and I'd get up in the morning and I'd sing to you and you'd always be like, "Mom, okay, why are you always happy first?" And I used to drive my flight crew in the morning. If we had a 5:00 a.m. show on the airplane, and I'm just smiling, and they're like grumpy. And
This is when you were a flight attendant, you're saying?
when I was a flight attendant, and I would sing first thing in the morning to passengers, and they'd be all asleep, and then all of a sudden their heads would pop up, and people were like, "How can you do that at this?" And I'm not a morning person. I know.
I know.
I am not a
For your mom, we'll cut that part out. Just kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if it's in me. People used to ask your dad while we were younger, like, "What is she drinking? What is she?" And he goes, "She doesn't drink at all.
Yeah.
Not a drop."
Yeah.
And they always thought I was, because they said, "I want what she's having."
Yeah.
But then nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always think it's my blood, my O negative blood. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's an interesting story I want to just touch on is you becoming a flight attendant at 4. We talked about, you just told that story to
40.
someone the other day, one of my kids, I think, one of your grandkids. At 42, you had sold the market. Oh, let me fix that. Right. You had sold the market and the grocery store and looking for your next career. How'd you end up applying for a flight attendant? And tell me about that cattle call that you somehow, even though you were older, had no experience, you somehow got picked amongst all your
dad. He saw an ad in the paper in Fresno. They were looking for flight attendants, and the only category was 2 years customer service and over 21 years old. And your dad said, "You're both of those." Because I thought you had to be 5'8" and 120 pounds and, like the old days, but not anymore.
Yeah.
So at the time, because I had gained a lot of weight when you were in the hospital for your car accident. So I was almost 200 pounds at the time.
Wow.
And but your dad took me down there, and there was a whole bunch of young girls in their 20s, high heel shoes, 120 pounds, 5'8", like you're supposed to be. And I almost left, and I told your dad, I go, I'm not staying here. I don't belong here. He goes, "Just stay." And so I did. And at the end of the day, because it was an all-day process, I was the only one hired.
Wow. And then part of it's your confidence, right? Don't you tell anyone that's interviewing you that, hey, I'll be the best employee you ever had?
Yeah, if you don't like me, fire me. But yeah, I mean, if you don't hire me, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Why not tell them that? If I don't like myself and if I don't have confidence in who I am, why should they?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Let's piggyback on that. What are some of the beliefs that you think that have helped you stay positive throughout your life, or habits? Are there any beliefs? Are there habits?
I think the thing that I remember the most growing up is because I was always kind of a chunky kid. I had a pug nose. I've had some work done on it, but it was a big nose.
Yeah.
I had buck teeth as a kid. I had braces. But so my dad had told me, he said, you have to be able to laugh at yourself. People can't laugh at you.
Yeah.
So if you can laugh first, I mean, there are things you can't change. I was born with this stuff.
Yeah.
But he said, if you can already find humor in it, and I swear it worked. That was where the best advice I ever got. Be able to laugh at yourself. I mean, and I think a lot of comedians do.
Yeah.
Like Phyllis Diller, she wasn't attractive. Joan Rivers, they were able to laugh at themselves and not take it seriously. So no one can really hurt your feelings because I know who I am. I know what I look like.
Yeah.
And that was the best advice my father ever gave me. And from then on, I soared through school. I just,
That's awesome. So just be able to laugh at yourself, and then nobody else laughing at you is going to make any negative impact on your mental and emotional well-being.
Yeah.
And I think that's as you talk, I always try to think of where I reflect you in me, and that for sure, I have no problem making fun of myself or,
Yeah. I mean, can't change it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Let's zoom out a bit. Life lessons, legacy, what you want to leave behind. What advice would you give to other parents who are raising a child who, well, let's go back to when I was struggling. When it was struggling in school, getting in trouble all the time. What advice would you give to a parent going through something like that, where they're not sure that their kid's going to make it?
Just be consistent for one thing. Always be consistent. If you say you're going to do something, if you're going to do a punishment or, don't just say it. Do it. Do it. And even if it's hard, and like I always said, if your teenagers don't hate you when they're growing up, you're not being a good parent. Because we have to save teenagers from themselves.
Yeah.
Their brains aren't developed. I have to make the hard decisions. And you remember when you guys were teenagers, I told you couldn't dye your hair, pierce your ears, or get a tattoo. Because I owned your body till you were 8. And remember, you came home with a pierced ear one time.
And you pinned me down and took it out, didn't you?
No, you argued because you are a really good talker and you tried to give me every reason why you should keep that earring. And you were good at it.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, but how, you knew you weren't supposed to do it. And I said, and I'm a fair person and I believe in choices. So I said, you can take it out painlessly. And if I do it, it's going to hurt. You took it out. You never did it again.
Yeah. And I still don't have any piercings. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't have any for sure.
Yeah.
No, that's good advice. Yeah. Consistency is so important. And I struggle with that as a parent. Like, a part of it is just energy. Like I'm exhausted.
I know you have to, got to push through that. You've got to, even if it's going to be 10 times harder to follow through than it would be just to say, okay, no, you do the 10 times harder.
Yeah.
You just do.
Yeah, no, it's true. That's part of that's tough love, right? But it's like true love, tough love, making sure
that's why you were going to clean the bathrooms and the septic tank with the toothbrush, because it wasn't going to be easy.
When I think you just said you have to, how did you say it? Teenagers, you have to, what did you say?
We have to make all the tough decisions for them.
Yeah, because their brain's not fully developed. And,
right.
And I think that's one way to look at love is holding someone to higher standards than they will hold themselves to.
That's right.
Right.
They just don't, kids don't. I mean, I did stupid stuff when I was a teenager. I sure look back.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh my, and I was a good teenager.
Yeah.
And I still did some stupid stuff, Luckily, I'm
nothing
major bend. Yeah. But, kids just do that. And I think consistency, and don't let them control you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to control them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could go back and give your 30-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
What was I doing at 30? Well, I wasn't a flight attendant yet. Don't feel old. Because really 40 was better. 50's been better than 50.
Yeah.
60s have been better than 40s and 50s. I'm going to be 70 in 2.5 years. I can't wait.
Yeah. And you're having a big party, a big 70s disco party, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And I feel 25.
Yeah.
And in my brain, I'm 25. I'm energetic still. I got a little limp now and my hand's a little gimpy, but I don't care.
Yeah.
And I just love my life every single day. And I wake up and I'm grateful I'm awake. And, but then again, when my time comes, I'll be okay with that too, because I live my life.
Yeah. Fully. To the fullest. Yeah.
Fully. Yeah. I'm one of those people, someone says, hey, you want to? Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Say yes.
Yeah. No, and you have, I don't know where your energy comes from, but we can't even, us younger folks struggle to keep up with you. What was I going to ask you? What do you hope that your grandkids, Sophia and Halston, my kiddos, learn from your life?
Well, no toys, just imagination. I'm one of those grandmas.
Yeah.
I believe in really, I guess like enjoying yourself. You were given, you don't need love yourself, and you don't need so many things. Life is more than stuff. I'm pretty much a minimalist.
Yeah.
And, and love yourself and enjoy yourself. And again, if you don't like yourself, love yourself, why would somebody else? So you've got to feel it. You've got to really, I think, really love yourself and realize you are a gift from God and you're the best. No one else is you.
Sure.
You're the best you. And wake up every day just happy and grateful. And even when things go, I've had a lot of bad things,
Yeah.
But you just be grateful for anyways. You just have to be, because what's the alternative is
miserable, right? Yeah. Either you're grateful or you're miserable.
That's right.
Yeah, whichever you choose.
Yeah. And I choose to be grateful.
Yeah.
And joyful and happy. And I have people that come over because they go, Julie, when I'm around you, I'm happier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You always bring up the vibe.
I try.
If you had to sum up your life philosophy in one sentence, 2 max, 1 to 2 sentences, what would it be? And take your time.
Yeah. I really believe in giving. I think in giving, you receive, rather than always wanting someone to give to you. Find a joy in giving to others, because there's a lot of joy in that.
Yeah. Yeah, talk real quick. Just list some of the things that you've done um, in terms of giving, from donating blood to sitting with people like just off the top of your head. What are some of the things that you've done to selflessly add value for others, to give back to others? Because I think that you're my model. By
The bereaved support group,
Compassionate Friends.
Passionate Friends was good. I volunteered at the church. I did catechism, started the women's guild at the church. I volunteered babysitting kids at the high school. Um, I did that Christmas service that you and Haley and your dad, we all participated, and some of your friends, or people that had lost someone at Christmas time or were grieving Christmas and weren't able to really find the joy in the ho, ho, ho in Christmas. So we did a service just for those people that I think really touched a lot of people. And I was grateful that you kids got involved in that.
Yeah.
Volunteering for hospice, 18 years, just sitting with patients, holding their hand.
18 years you did that? Wow.
Yeah. I volunteered for Catholic chore services, where I went and helped clean houses or whatever people needed, took them to hair appointments or doctor's appointments or whatever they needed. Elks, lots of volunteering at the Elks.
Yeah.
Now I'm volunteering with the shipmates at the Oklahoma Yacht Club. We do a lot of charity work for families, feed them, get clothes for them, toys at Christmas.
Yeah.
So there's always something you can do.
A big part of your life philosophy is definitely giving and helping people that are in need. Right? Yeah. You've been my inspiration in that regard. Last question. When you're no longer here, how do you want to be remembered?
Oh, it's just a fun person. Because I'm donating my body to science.
Okay.
Because my motto is, I've enjoyed it, somebody else might too.
Nice.
I just want to party, just have a party. Remember the good times, do some karaoke, dance. No somber. Don't be sad, because, of course I'll be haunting you once I'm gone forever. But yeah, just joyful. I hope I was a good mom.
Yeah.
I brought you joy, and
that one's already in the bag. That one you can check off. So, Mom, thanks for doing this.
Well, thanks for letting me do this.
This is long overdue.
Yeah, this was fun. Anything with you is good.
You've been through more than most people, and you've never stopped loving. You've never lost your faith, and you've never stopped helping other people. And I love you and I admire you. And I hope that someone listening to this, especially if they're struggling and they're going through adversity, whether it's their own or someone that they love, or they've lost someone, that your mindset around can't change it, and make the best of this life you've been blessed to live, and love yourself and love your body and give to others and help other people. And I hope it helps them. So,
well, thank you. Love you.
Love you, Mom. All right, goal achievers and members of the Miracle Morning community, thank you for tuning in to the first ever interview with my mom. I love you so much. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. Take care.